Welcome back, listeners. Today we are dropping another episode in our series titled The Notifications North Star, sponsored by our good friends at Courier. Courier is developer infrastructure for product notifications, making it easier to deliver the notification experience that your customers expect. In our series, we'll be talking to customers, developers, and stakeholders within the notification space to learn about their notification strategy, how important it is, and how Courier is helping to solve this problem for product builders and developers alike. Today, I have Vatasha White with me. She's a senior software engineer at Courier. She was previously at Lacework, LaunchDarkly, and GE Digital, has quite the resume, and is a graduate of Smith College in 2015. Vatasha, thank you for being on the show today.
No problem at all. Excited to be here.
Before we jump into what you're doing at Courier now, tell me a little bit more about you.
Born and raised in New York. Prior to Courier, I was at Lacework as a principal developer advocate, and I was interested in doing dev advocacy at the time because I really think about a developer advocate as like the intersection between like engineering, education, and product. So that's really what enticed me about that role. And then prior to that, I was at LaunchDarkly and I worked on the feature workflows team. And really what a feature workflow is like how you change the lifecycle of a feature flag. You can change the lifecycle of a feature flag through various mechanisms, like through an approval, through an expiring user target, or through a scheduled flag change. And I worked on that team. I worked on experimentation while I was at LaunchDarkly. I worked on migrating some of our data from a NoSQL database to a distributed SQL database. And then aside from all the work stuff, when I'm not working, you can find me playing DDR at the arcade or Magic.
If you've migrated some NoSQL database anywhere, you've been in the trenches for sure. I know that feeling. Well, you've obviously worked for some amazing companies, and you're working for an amazing company now. So tell me a little bit about your time at Courier. How did you get introduced to Courier?
Funny story, actually. When I was at LaunchDarkly, we used Courier when Courier was developing something called an automation. An automation is really like orchestration of like how you would send your notifications, and it allows you to implement like complex logic. Our use case was we needed to send a notification anytime an approval came through, and we needed to send a notification in different ways through like different channels. A channel can be like an email, or that could be like SMS, or that could be like Slack or something else, but we needed to send it and we needed that to be customizable. And I didn't really want to have to worry about any additional logic on like, well, how do I send the message using Slack? And then how do I then send that message via an email? And then how do I send this message maybe to SMS or a text message or anything like that? And Courier really gives you that functionality out of the box. It allows you to customize how you want to send notifications through various channels. And it allows you to implement logic as well for those notifications.
You know, in implementing that, obviously Courier provides a lot out of the box. What was your favorite use case at LaunchDarkly when you were using the product?
My favorite use case was the automations, and automations was in beta at the time. So I remember actually like going into GitHub and pulling down their V2, which wasn't published yet, and just using the beta version of it because I was like, oh, when approval comes through, you need to be able to send an email or send a message via Slack. So we needed those two different mechanisms, and we used the automation to accomplish that.
So you essentially had one centralized set of messages sitting in Courier, templated, I assume, and then you're able to automate and create automations to send the right message at the right time.
Right, but we didn't use the template at the time. What we had done is we used the Go SDK and we called the API directly to construct different steps inside of an automation. It's comprised of different types. So it can be like a send step or a delay step or a cancel step. And we had a bunch of send steps. One send step was sent to an email. Another send step was sent to a webhook, which would send to Slack.
Okay, so now that you work at Courier, you're on the inside now, right? What impact did they have on you that motivated you? What impact do they have on you that motivates you today?
I really value how we talk to our customers, and that's really important to me. And I feel like as an engineer, sometimes you don't always get to talk to customers and understand how they're using the product that you're building. And at Courier, that's one of our core values, is to talk to customers. And I experienced that firsthand when I was a customer at LaunchDarkly. Like, I had a bunch of questions on automations, and I was able to get on the phone with Seth, and we did a Zoom, and like collaborating with them was awesome. And like everyone was super helpful and knowledgeable, and they helped unblock me. So that left a really good impression on me.
So, give us a peek inside the curtain a little bit. Like, what are you working on now that really excites you?
So right now I'm working on data retention. And data retention in this case really pertains to how long we're going to be storing messages and event logs. And I think that this problem is really interesting because it's fairly complex. And I think it's also interesting because it really allows users to have control over their data. Like, say they want to send a sensitive message and they don't want that message to ever show up in their dashboard or in their logs at all, then we won't retain it. So we're going to be implementing a way for you to set your retention window via the API. And I'm learning a lot. Like when I was at LaunchDarkly, I predominantly use Go. And now I'm shifting from using Go to using TypeScript, and then also doing everything serverless. So it's like a whole shift in paradigms for me.
Right. Oh, that's super fun. You're getting to use different technologies, keep learning, the engineer's dream, right? To keep going there. So if you were about to talk to someone who's going to step into a new project and build messaging from scratch, what would you say to them now, knowing Courier and working at Courier? What would you say to them?
Use Courier, please. It'll make your life easier. I think it will, you don't have to worry about a lot of the complex knowledge that you would have to bake inside of your application. Like, we support like conditionals and things like that. Or say you want to schedule a message to be delivered in the future, like a weekly digest or something like that. You don't have to worry and wait to have someone wake up at a certain time and say like, all right, hit the button and now ship it. You can automate all of that with Courier. So I would say use the product. It's super flexible. It has a lot of features, and it'll make your life a lot easier.
Well, you're obviously working on an amazing product with an amazing team. Kudos on that. And Vatasha, really appreciate you being on the show and sharing your experiences.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, there you have it, folks. The customer who became a contributor to the core notification solution. This wraps up this episode of our Notifications North Star series, sponsored by our good friends at Courier. Check out the product at courier.com/codestory to learn more.
It's time to turn your daydream into your dream job. Wix gives you the power to turn your passion into a moneymaker with a website that fits your unique vision and drives you towards your goals. Let your ideas flow with AI tools that guide you, but give you full control and flexibility. Manage your business from one dashboard and keep it growing with built-in marketing features. Get everything you need to turn your part-time passion into a full-time business. Go to Wix.com.
Taxes was waiting around for your taxes to be done, which led to worrying about not getting any money back. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes in a day to get you up to $4,000 fast with a refund advance loan. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Expert filing only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Refund advance has $0 loan fees and 0% APR. Refund advance loans may be issued by First Century Bank N.A. or WebBank. Terms apply. Subject to approval.